Hi all, Craig Williamson here. Okay, so just going to make this a brief video talking about beliefs, expectations, feeling stuck. Often throughout life we'll create an image in our minds of how our lives should become, how we should be living, and what causes a lot of unhappiness is when the reality we've created, the reality we're living, doesn't match the picture we've got in our minds. Now that picture could be really outdated. That could be from a moment in childhood where you created this fantasy picture of how your life should look, but then it's not adapted as you have, it's not grown as you have, it's not changed and lived as you have. It's an outdated image, which might be a beautiful image, might be a wonderful story, but it doesn't fit very well with your reality. And you kind of get stuck on this is how it should be, and it's not. And because that picture is an expectation of how your life should be, because if it's an expectation of how a relationship should be, your career should be, your health should be, your fitness, whatever, and you're looking back in the past at this image you created back then, you're holding yourself apart from what it could be. And often you'll beat yourself up or feel negative emotions around this because you feel you should be doing something different to what you are doing, and you're not approving of where you are now. You're not approving of, well, do you know what? You've lived through a scenario that's caused you to be in this position. You can move forward to a different position. However, the reality you're living right now doesn't have to be the same as that expectation. So let me give you an example. When I was younger, I'd always kind of bought into the fantasy as I get older, when it's time for me to have a family and stuff. So I'll have a great job, have a great income. I'll then meet a beautiful princess, and we will have a wonderful life together. And then we will have 2 children, a son and a daughter, and we'll have the perfect family, and that will be happy ever after. Just as kids, you're sold in all the fairy tale stories and everything else. And the image that was painted a lot, that should be your life. Now, my reality didn't turn out that way. I ended up as a full-time single father of 2 wonderful children. So I've got a son and a daughter who are wonderful just like I imagined them, even better than I've imagined. However, the relationship with their mother didn't work out, and my children live with me most of the time. And for a long time, that caused me an issue in my mind, because that's not what my life was supposed to be. And because of becoming a full-time single father when my daughter was newborn pretty much, and my son was a year and a half old, obviously I had to cut right back on any kind of work-related activities. So my income went right down. And I was a single father with 2 children. At the time also, the private rented property I was in, the landlady, it was coming up to the Olympics, and the landlady had decided she wanted to evict us, saying she wanted the property back because she wanted to live in it. However, we found out quite quickly that wasn't the case. She just wanted to re-rent it for more money. And then I was stuck in a situation where, for a while, I was dealing with the homeless service, and they didn't want to help us because of the lack of training of the person who had been advising us, saying that this wasn't legal and all the rest of it. And their idea, obviously the homeless service want you to stay wherever you are as long as possible, so you're not their problem. And then when you become a real problem, last minute you are actually homeless, then they'll try and find you a solution. Because, okay, there's a shortage of properties and their job isn't easy. There's more people wanting homes than there are homes available for those people in many cases. But at the time that really didn't help. And so I struggled for a while. I struggled with that. And I struggled with, hang on, I've got this picture in my mind of how life should be, and yet my life is far from it. And unknowingly, you kind of unwittingly hold a downer on yourself. because hang on, I'm supposed to be, yeah, bad choice. You're shoulding all over yourself. Never should all over yourself, or supposed to be all over yourself. Um, Living this kind of life, but yet I'm living a very different life that doesn't match that image I've created in my mind. And so therefore I'm done something wrong, or I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not. And all this negative self-criticism comes in just because of that image. Just because you created an expectation. Now, in an ideal world, that would have worked out differently. However, we create our own realities through what we focus on, and we follow those paths. There was a lot to grow from that I went through with all that. And I learned a lot, and I grew a lot. But I didn't give myself the credit I deserved at the time. Because at those times, I was kind of in a survival mode, trying to survive. And also beating myself up, going, where did all this go wrong? How did it? I tried my best to make everything right. But what you've got to realise, and what I had to realise, is you can't control anybody else. Unless they want to be controlled. Which, outside of some kind of 50 Shades of Grey sub and dom relationship, you're not going to control people in your life unless they want to control you. And even then, the sub can quite easily turn around and say, actually, I'm not going to be controlled by you anymore, and walk off. There's not a lot you can do about it. Often, parents with their children will try and use rewards, bribery, or threats of punishment, be it losing toys or some parents smacking or whatever the threat is. So blackmail, to get their children to do things. And many of us grown up that way as children. I remember if I was naughty, I'd get a smack. If I didn't do as I told, I'd get a threat of losing out on something. And if I did do as I was being told, sometimes I'd get rewarded. Not always. Which is a child growing up, obviously, is creating this belief system that, okay, when I'm bad, I'm going to be punished. When I'm doing something that it's not necessarily bad, but is not what's asked of me at that moment in time, I could get punished. And if I do what I'm supposed to be doing, then I might get rewarded. I might not. And as most children grow up through this, it creates this very weird belief system about how life works. But anyway, we create these images and these meanings at a time when we are not as advanced as we are right now in this moment. So many of your beliefs and images and stuff didn't grow as you grew. Many of them will do. Many of them will be like, yeah, my goals are up here and now I've reached this goal and I'm going to the next one and this is great. And you don't always look back and praise yourself how far you come. But if you got stuck, if you're feeling like a powerlessness over yourself, like you're stuck because you've got this image in your mind of how things should be. And this conversation I'm having with you now was brought by a conversation I had with a friend today, whose ex-partner, they have a child, and the man isn't a good dad. From all accounts, from everything I can hear. Now, I am only hearing mostly one side of the story. But generally that seems to be quite the case with this scenario. And she was complaining that she's done everything she can do, bent over backwards to try and accommodate, and just ask him, why wouldn't you want to be involved with your child more? Why wouldn't you want to be a better father? Why wouldn't you want to? And she's tried everything in the book and everything she can think of to get him to interact more. But he'll disappear off for days on end, then he'll keep a pattern of regularly calling, and then he'll just disappear for days on end. And she's been feeling very powerless and beating herself up because she's got an image in her mind of how this happy family should look. And to be fair, it's never looked that way to her. But she has a child. She has a man who is the father of a child who's in and out of the life as he feels like it. And when he's there, he expects everything done his way. And so because she's trying to create this image that she created in her mind and stick to it, she's pandering to his demands. And then saying to him, please, can you do this stuff? And he's not really interested in doing it. Now, she said he suffers with depression and stuff. Another case of feeling powerlessness. But because they've held on to this image for so long, they're both destroying themselves in that relationship of how their life should be. And they're feeling stuck in a situation, which is, she was saying, now she's just getting really angry all the time. And anger is a positive step up from powerlessness. Anger is a step towards taking back your power. Because at a base form, where you are so amazingly powerful, everybody is. You have so much power in you. You have so much, and you don't even have a clue how powerful you are in creating your own reality and how the universe is supporting you at everything you focus on and giving you more of it. You are so amazingly powerful at your core, at your inner being, that when you're thinking so long, so negative, that you become to a place you're feeling powerlessness and you feel painful about it, well, your inner being is still trying to call you back to your power, and anger is a step up. Now, I'm not saying physically go and harm anybody else, so please take that and understand that. But you can get angry, and you can do it on purpose. And you can go and hit a pillow or take out some of your aggression on something that's not going to harm you or anybody else, would be my recommendation. Hire a punch bag and some boxing gloves, or buy one. Yeah. Now, because as children, many of us are told, especially if we've got brothers or sisters, and we end up fighting with them, or we're at school and we get into an argument with somebody, we're always taught anger's a bad thing, don't get angry, don't get violent, don't do this. And I still agree, we shouldn't go around and just hurt other people. I don't think you should. However, often people that go from depression, where they're kind of quiet and to themselves, then go to anger or maybe revenge, which is another step up. Now, once again, revenge can be in the mind rather than in a physical form acted out. However, people go from anger to revenge and step up. Now, you're a noticeable problem to people around you because they don't like your behaviour. However, you are taking back your power, and you're aligning with the power that is you. So most of your friends and family would have preferred you when you were depressed and quiet, because you weren't causing them any grief. But if you're getting angry and stroppy about it, then you're taking back your power. But if you're not doing it deliberately, you get to that point and then you realise, hang on, actually I've been angry and I shouldn't be being angry, or I've shouted at someone I didn't mean to shout at, and now that's a bad thing and therefore I shouldn't have done it, and then you start beating yourself up again and you put yourself back down into a powerless place. Lots of people get into this cycle of like beating themselves up, getting angry to take back their power, and then because they've got angry and they've been told anger's a bad thing rather than a positive step up the emotional scale to taking back their own power, then they end up back down in depression again and powerlessness, and they end up in this cycle. And this can last for years. This can last for a lifetime for some people. Some people it lasts a few minutes. If you deliberately go to anger, taking back your power, not doing anything that's going to cause damage to yourself or others for long term, just taking a momentary go, do you know what, I feel powerless, right, I'm going to get angry, I'm going to beat up a pillow, yeah, I'm going to rip up some paper, I'm going to whatever, I'm going to choose to deliberately break something that is of no use and value to me or anybody else, and I'm going to enjoy doing it, and it'll be something I've bought for the purpose of it, whatever. But you do that deliberately, from there you'll feel the relief. Then you can move up into other emotions like frustration and up into hopefulness. And from hopefulness, you can move up into feeling much better. You can feel more aligned. You can feel happiness. You can feel unconditional love again. You can feel appreciation. You can move up. It's just like a bubble rising up to the surface. But if you get angry and then you beat yourself up for being angry, you go back down to powerlessness. And this is what she was doing. She was just like, I keep having these angry outbursts. I don't know why. Like, everything will be fine, and then I'll get to the bus stop, and then I'll be waiting a minute longer than I think I should be. And I'll just get really angry about it. And my first question was, what are you feeling powerless about in your life? And that's when she opened up about all this relationship stuff. Because she feels like she's got this image in her mind of how the relationship should be, and it's not meeting that expectation. And so I said to her, you're going to need to realise that he's not going to be controlled by you. And if you've done everything you can to try and control him, which she has through giving and receiving of love and sex and aggression and anger and frustration, just general conversations of please, and yet none of this has given her the control over him she wants. And the truth is, she's not going to be able to control him, and she doesn't want to be in that relationship anyway. But she's got an idea in her head of how this relationship should look, and I said you need to evolve that picture. You need to firstly accept you're not going to control him. There's only one thing you can truly control in this life, which is actually not true. Because you control a lot more, but not when you're trying to. Well, that's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? I mean, when you're trying to control your life by controlling others around you, you're going to fail miserably every time. Because even with children, you can bribe them and blackmail them as much as you like, but at points they're just going to go, no, sod you, I'm just going to do my thing. And you end up asking them to do something 1,000 times and screaming, shout and everything else, and it still doesn't get done. Or you encourage them to do something with a reward, and then it's just like, do you know what? I'd rather do the thing I'm doing. I appreciate the reward, but it's just not what I want. Or you threaten them and they're just like, yeah, I'm enjoying myself too much to listen to you. And this is the thing lots of parents expressed. So I said to her, look, firstly, when's the last time you turned around and told yourself in the mirror how much you look amazing, or how much you love yourself, or praised yourself on anything? And she couldn't remember. She couldn't remember at all a time when she's done that. She can remember very quickly and very easily how often she's beaten herself up for life not going her way. Right, so now let me get back to the point, the contradiction in terms. You can't control anything else except yourself. But in controlling yourself, you then control your reality. Now, what am I saying? Okay, so when you are from a place of powerlessness, trying to control everybody around you so you can be happy, it's not going to work. You're banging your head against a brick wall. It might work in some cases, on some levels, for some time, but mostly it's not going to work. So you might get a child agreeing to do what they said. You might get your husband or your wife doing some of what you've asked them. But other areas of life, people ain't going to do that. And the child or the husband or wife or the friends or family will do it a little bit for a little bit of time, but it's not going to be consistent enough for you to be happy. So what can you do? Okay, what you can do is work on loving yourself. What you can do is become the happiest, most positive, loving version of you there is. The frustration you feel is because your inner being has grown every time you decide something and you haven't kept up with that. So there's a gap between you and the potential you. There's also a gap in your expectation from your reality. And you realise you can change that picture and go, do you know what? Instead of this being the fairy tale idea that I had as a child. Well, I've grown, I've experienced things, and I've grown and I've changed, and I'm not the child anymore that had that idea. However, I can create appreciation for where I am now and realize, do you know what, there's many options. And I can still end up with great people in my life. I can still end up having all the things that feel good to me and I can enjoy, but it doesn't have to be in the way that was. And it doesn't mean that can't still come with somebody else at some point in the future. But why I'm going to beat myself that I haven't got it now and carry on beating myself up that it may not ever come in the future, because you're just holding it away from yourself and you're just stuck in a painful place. So firstly, accept where you are. I am where I am. I am where I am. That's mind-blowing stuff, isn't it? But it works as a great level. Try saying it to yourself. I am where I am. I accept I am where I am. See how that feels? I accept I am where I am. I can change the images in my mind. I can create a new future for myself. I can create a different lifestyle for myself than I have right now if I choose to. I can create a different image in my mind of how I'd like my life to look. I can appreciate the image I've got. I can just edit some of the people that are in it and leave that open for future interpretations. I can meet somebody in my future who is going to be a perfect vibrational match to me, and it's always the case. So this is a caveat. If you're in a miserable place a lot of the time, and then you do meet somebody else, they're going to be a vibrational match to you. So the likelihood is they're going to be a miserable place a lot of the time as well. So, if you want to meet the person you desire, start loving yourself unconditionally. If you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't appreciate you, ignore their behaviour for a moment. Ignore what they've become. And you don't even have to share this with them. But realise your inner being loves unconditionally everybody at all moments in time and realises they are doing the best they can do with the knowledge they have, living their life, experiencing their reality. So love them for that. Doesn't mean you're going to have them back. Doesn't mean that your relationship's going to become a love fest and repair all damage that ever happened in it. But it does mean you can feel great. You can love them from a distance. You can appreciate what they brought to you. You can appreciate the gifts that you've received from them. You can appreciate they're always growing and evolving, as are you. And somebody else could have the qualities you saw in them, plus the ones you desire now that you don't see in that person anymore. This person you loved could change because of the way you treat them and start being more of what you want them to be. But if you do it deliberately just to get that result, it won't work in your favour. It needs to be unconditional. There cannot be a condition on why you're loving them, except it feels good, because that's who we naturally are at a base form. At base form, we naturally are loving beings. So you can control yourself. That is one thing you can control in this reality. And when you take control of yourself and how you feel, and realise there's so much power in alignment, there's so much power in loving yourself, being strong in yourself, appreciating yourself, and being in that positive place, that you will then attract more things that match that vibration than the lower vibration you've been in. Once you move out that lower vibration into a higher vibration, you're attracting love, you're attracting unconditional kindness, unconditional generosity, unconditional love, unconditional abundance, unconditional cooperation, where the people that will match you on that vibration will resonate towards you. The people that don't will kind of just disappear off, and you'll see them less and less. And realise that is the way you control your reality. You choose what your life means to you, and you choose everything in it what it means. Now, if you are beating yourself up and hanging about in a low vibration and a low negative place, you're going to suffer, because your inner being won't go there. Your inner being will only stay in a higher place, and you are tearing yourself apart literally. That's why you're suffering, because your inner being seeing abundance and love and well-being, and you are not. And so your inner being's holding a different opinion. You're pulling yourself apart. It's like trying to rip your arm off your shoulder or rip your head off your body or take a leg off. It's going to hurt. And that's what you're doing in an energy sense. And so, first things first. Love yourself, appreciate yourself. Realise, this was the other thing she was doing, and I said to her, you're trying to seek validation from him by being the good mother, by being the good person that's doing all the responsible stuff. But you're trying to get it from someone who can't give it to you. And so you've tried doing everything you can to receive this validation from somebody else. And we are often taught in this childhood where we were rewarded for what being told is good and punished for what's bad. However, sometimes that can change on a daily or hourly basis, as depending on the mood of the parent or the guardian or the teacher or the staff member or whatever that's in charge of our time at that moment in time. And often it does contradict each other. But we're brought up seeking validation from others. And it's, my children say it to me. They do a good thing that they know they've done good, but then they're like, Dad, is that good? I'm like, well, do you think it's good? Well, because if you do, then it is. And if you don't, then you need to praise yourself because you have done something valuable. You have done something good. If you want to improve on it next time, you can do, because you're always going to be able to improve on your life. And this is true in all areas. But you know what? You can praise yourself. And I'll praise them. I'll tell them how wonderful they are and great they are. But I've also said to them, bear in mind this. If I'm not in a place of love, because I've got stuff going on and I'm feeling separate in the moment from love, and I'm overwhelmed, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm concentrating elsewhere, and it's not in a place of love, and you come up seeking love from me, but I'm not in a place of love myself to feel love, then I can't give you love. And that's not your fault. There's no fault involved. It's just I'm not in my place of love. And this is true. Somebody else recently said to me they want love. And I was like, well, you can have love anytime you want it. Because love comes from within. It comes from alignment with yourself. It comes from focusing on things that feel good. And you know, from your own experience, that when you're thinking positive thoughts, you feel good and you can feel love. You can focus on things that feel great to think about, and you feel great. But you know what? If you're in a bad mood and somebody's trying to shower you with love, if you've hurt yourself and you're not feeling love, if you're in an angry place, you're not feeling love, and you've got someone, parent, lover, friend, neighbour, stranger on the street, just trying to give you love, but you're not in a place of feeling that love, you're not going to feel it. It's funny, isn't it? Because love only comes from the inside. And the love we feel is from inside us. It's not from outside. It comes from within. Now, we can rendezvous with people who are in a loving place and we can have a fantastic time until we start looking at things that are not through the eyes of unconditional love. Like they picked their nose at the dinner table or whatever. Ugh, disgusting behaviour. Don't like that. Oh, look at that. They scratched their bum in a funny way or whatever. Or they said this comment I didn't like. Or they looked at me funny. And bearing in mind, how often have you caught yourself looking at someone funny because you weren't using your eyes at the time? Your mind was in a totally different place. You sit on the train or whatever, and all of a sudden you realise you're staring at someone. It doesn't mean anything, but what's the other person making of that on the other side of that stare, that absent stare? Because you were tired and you were just staring. And you were just zoned out. Yeah? Nothing means anything till we give it meaning. Reframe those images in your life that you're living by, but not living at this moment in time. Stop beating yourself up for the way your life's gone and start praising yourself for the way your life has gone. Because you have come a long way. You've grown, you're strong, you're powerful, you're an abundant being. And you're learning a lot and you're growing all the time. You're doing the best you can with the knowledge you've got in the mood you're in any moment in time. And in the future, your life can get a lot better than it is now. But you needed to grow. And so you're going through a growing phase. And you can move forward. So realise you can only control yourself, but by controlling yourself and getting yourself into a positive place, the universe responds to you with positive stuff, and that's how you control the universe. That's how you control having a great life. If you're beating yourself up and being negative, then you're attracting negative stuff and more things to beat yourself up about. So you're doing it anyway. You're controlling it. You're controlling the universe in whatever mood you're in because it's responding to you. The only difference is that you're attracting all the people that are going to frustrate you. And people are a mirror of ourselves. You must have sat with somebody at some point in your lifetime when you're having a conversation and then somebody else that they know has entered the room in a totally different vibration and they've got up and greeted them in that vibration. So you could be in a deep, low conversation and someone's come in the room and they're like, hey! It's like, great, see, I haven't seen you in a long time, yeah. And then they come back to you and then they go back down to that vibration if you were in that lower place. Or it's the other way around. You're having a great, lively conversation. Someone comes in devastated and you know them or they know them and it brings the conversation down for a while. Okay? We become mirrors of the people around us and they become mirrors of us. So if you don't believe someone's got love in them, we'll never see love in them. Anyway, this was supposed to be a short video and it's gone on for half an hour. So if you're still with me at this point, thank you very much. Thank you for staying. If you want to subscribe and like the channel and other videos and all the rest of it, there's plenty more content. I've got loads more to give and I'm trying to share as much as I can do because I want to impact the world positively. I want to make sure everybody gets access to what I've got and understands that you are in control of your own reality. You're in control of your own life. And life is meant to feel good. It's natural to feel good. I'm going to leave this video here. If you've got any questions, comments you want to say for the YouTube channel, that's great. I might post this video elsewhere as well. You're welcome to message me, comment about this video. Any thoughts, any areas you want me to clarify on. Thank you very much for your time. I truly appreciate it, and congratulations to you for doing what you're doing right now. Well done for looking after yourself and trying to grow more and find out answers to your questions. Well done for stepping up and realising you are in control of your life and there's ways to do it. And maybe you don't know all the answers right now, but you're looking for them. Trust me, the answers will come. As you grow, everything you need will be there to support you. I love you, and I mean that. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, your week, your month, your year, your experience of life on this earth. Because life is happening for you. Not to you. It's happening for you. And you decide how it turns out. Have fun.